Hello everybody and welcome to my brand new channel, Si Knows the Score. So what you can expect from this channel and myself of course is match predictions, transfers, debates, all that lot. It's mainly going to be Premier League, may tap into other markets if people are interested and you comment below and you want to see other videos on other leagues, and I'll be more than happy to look at that too. So to kick off, what we're going to do is we're going to do a Premier League predictions video today. We want all of our videos to be as interactive as possible, so that will entail getting some subscribers on board too, and maybe even other channels if we can grow the channel to a big enough level that other people want to collaborate. So yeah, this is going to be quite a community type of feel channel, so yeah, please get involved, subscribe, like and comment below. So yeah, without further ado, so what the rules are for this particular game is it's 5 points for a correct score, 2 points for correct result, and of course 0 points if you get neither. It's something that we've done now for a few years. Between myself, it's grown. We now have 30 to 40 people doing it, just between our friends. So it's a good little bit of fun, good bit of banter. If you stake £10-20 in for the season, gamble responsibly of course, then yeah, it's a bit of a laugh. Sometimes even just having a beer with a few of your friends and you're going through some of your predictions and you're both giving each other a bit of stick, it's good fun. So put it down on a spreadsheet, get a group chat going, and then yeah, please put in your predictions below too, because I will read them. I'm very intrigued to hear your opinions and if you feel like they align with what I say too, because I'm always here to learn and understand other people's opinions. So yeah, please get involved. So without further ado, the first opening game of the season is at Anfield, Liverpool v Bournemouth, and yes, of course, the sad passing of Diogo Jota. It's going to be even more difficult, in my opinion, for Bournemouth than it ever was before, if it already wasn't almost an impossible task. So of course, it's going to be tributes, the players, the manager, the crowd, they're all going to be really up for this, aren't they? Then you've also got the Liverpool transfer window, which has been unbelievable. Verts, Kirkes, Frimpong, I believe, was an unbelievable signing too for the price they got him for. So they've done really, really well. And to get Isak too, then wow, yeah, you're looking at a 9 out of 10 window, aren't you? The only thing would be, can they get a winger in? Do they need a winger? So that's just my opinion anyway. I mean, Bournemouth transfers in comparison, they've obviously lost Kirky, so he's having his debut against his former club, and they've not really had any marquee signings from what I've seen to my knowledge, so I think they'll be looking to try and get a couple of players in because it's been a little bit underwhelming for them so far. So I think it'll be a comfortable 2-0, but honestly this game could be one of those where it's 3-0, 2-0, 4-1. I mean, Bournemouth still have a lot of quality, don't they, up front, and they're very much capable, so it wouldn't surprise me if they scored a goal, but I'm going to go a solid 2-0 here at Anfield to open off the Premier League season. Got there in the end, didn't we? And then next we have Aston Villa at Villa Park against Newcastle. So rumour has it Villa having to work around PSR a little bit here, are struggling to be able to put the funds there for the signings that they'll probably want. Newcastle on the other hand, trying to do the complete opposite. They have the money there to spend, but are not capable of getting the players, unfortunately. I mean, it just shows the pulling power of Man United, doesn't it? When you've got a Champions League club getting turned down for a team that finished, was it 15th last year? So it's definitely fascinating in that regards. So Newcastle signings tend to, well, it looks like they're going to be like 4th, 5th choice on their list for each position, which, don't get me wrong, still really good players with players such as Visser, for example, but yeah, they're not the signings that you'd imagine that they were hoping for or expected going into the transfer window. So I think that's going to have a knock-on effect here, especially with Isak too, who's ruled himself out by the looks of it, trying to force that move to Anfield. So even though Newcastle have had a decent pre-season, and looking at the pre-season, I mean, how much can you take from it? They have done okay. I think Villa will get over the line here. Villa Park, 2-1. I think that's probably the right scoreline. Yeah, Newcastle will still get a goal, even though they don't have Isak, but they'll have the better of the play overall. And that brings us to the Amex Stadium, where we have Brighton at home to Fulham. Brighton, in my opinion, are going to make a bit of a push this year for the European spots. How high can they go is the question. Will they finish just outside of it? Can they squeeze into one? In my opinion, I think they're going to be in and around there, especially around the Conference Europa League spots. So, as always, they sign really good players with the Moneyball approach that they've got. They do bring in what you may quantify as unknown signings. They've gone to Olympiacos, haven't they? And bought their young striker, for 35 million. So we'll see. I mean, you'd imagine based on Brighton's previous windows, they probably will do well for them. They've lost João Pedro, of course, but I think they'll replace him relatively well, and they'll strengthen other areas of the squad too. Fulham haven't really lost any players, but nor have they gained any players. It looks like Muniz might go. I know he's not an out-and-out first-team striker for them, and he does come on a lot, but his his goals per 90 is very good for Fulham, so that could be a big miss for them if he does go, and they'll still need to replace him because he had 8 goals last season, I believe. Trying to factor it all in, you've got Hursley, he's still a young manager, but he's had that first year experience. I think he'll kick on now with Brighton. I think Brighton will be relatively comfortable in the game, not too comfortable, but they'll definitely have the better of the play and the chances. I think they'll win 2-1. I think they are renowned for conceding the goal, and I think even though Fulham probably won't pose too much of a threat to them, I do think Brighton will make the task a little bit more difficult than it probably needs to. So 2-1. Which then leads on to the first newly promoted team at the Stadium of Light, Sunderland, who are up against West Ham. So Sunderland have made some impressive signings, haven't they? Especially in midfield. You got Sadiki, Diarra, dream signing as well for the owner with Xhaka. So you've got the quality, the leadership on and off the pitch. I mean, the signings that Sunderland have made on paper are inexperienced because they're all 19 to 21 year olds. So could that factor into this particular match and even the season? Well, we'll soon see. They do need to maybe look at improving the defence a little bit and maybe add another forward up there. I think if they get those in, I think they're going to really, really push this year for maybe even higher than 17th, which is hopefully something Leeds will do. Going to get a few boos for that because I'm a Leeds fan. But then you've got West Ham, who it doesn't seem like they're overly impressed with their signings. Paqueta's back, so obviously innocent of his charges, so he might be looking to regain the form that I had a few years ago with that fire that's relit under his belly. Bowen's still producing by the looks of it, so I believe that he'll still be contributing goals throughout the season. They've also signed some additions of Juve and Todibo. Hermansen especially, I think is a really good keeper. So I think he's going to really help progress them a little bit this season. Are they players that you would put for Potter's style? Maybe not, and maybe a change may come this season in terms of managerial, because they might look for somebody that won't be looking for that more expansive play, because I don't know if they quite have the players for that. Could be wrong, just my opinion. So I'm going to say here, first game back at the Stadium of Light, riding that high, Sunderland 2, West Ham 1, with Bowen potentially getting a goal or assist for their goal. Which then brings us to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where Spurs are opening against Burnley. So Burnley had a phenomenal season, 100 points, smashed the record, didn't they, for goals conceded. Unbelievable for them. Trafford, with all the clean sheets in the world. Brownhill scoring 18 goals from that central position. Have lost those two key players. How easily are they replaced? Trafford especially difficult. Brownhill scoring 18 goals from a central position, very difficult nowadays. You don't really see that amount of goals coming from those areas unless you have a De Bruyne in your team. So and their signings overall, in my opinion, a little bit underwhelming for a Premier League team. They've permanently signed Jay Nanty, Marcus Edwards from last season. Kyle Walker on paper looks a very good signing. Leadership, experience, quick still. But you would expect Burnley to be playing a bit of a low block this season, with probably the least possession in the league or thereabouts. So will Walker be good in that type of style? I guess we'll soon see, won't we? Spurs, on the other hand, lost Big Ange. Harsh sacking, was it? difficult to say, isn't it? I mean, on one hand, they won the trophy, so a lot of people are like, yeah, well, you should have been given another shot. Yes, he's obviously put the Premier League on the back burner, but given the performances of the other relegated teams who were really, really poor last couple of seasons, he took that risk. And it paid off for them with the Europa League, getting a Champions League spot, which they probably wouldn't have done if they went hell and leather with the Premier League as well. So harsh, I would say so. But you can also see the perspective of, well, other opinions such as Levy, who wants that focus on the Premier League as well as European competition. So yeah, but they have replaced very well with Frank, haven't they? I mean, what a manager! What he's done for Brentford, unreal, isn't it? So you would think they would have a good season on paper, but I mean, they've really struggled creativity-wise in pre-season. I mean, they just got smashed 4-0 by Bayern Munich, and I mean, it wasn't just a goal fest for 4-0. I mean, the performance of Bayern Munich versus Spurs, it was at times men v boys. So yeah, I think you're going to need a few more signings up top, especially with Sonny going now. So you Spurs really need to get some marquee signings up top sooner rather than later. Maddison too, out with an ACL, 7 to 8 months. Yeah, big misses, big misses. So you would think the way I was speaking that I was going to go for a Burnley draw or win here. I'm going to go against it. I am going to go a Spurs 1-0 win. It'll be tight. I think the low block of Burnley will try and shut Spurs out. I think if Spurs get an early goal, you might see a couple more goals going in here as the game becomes more expansive. But I don't think we'll see a goal until maybe midway through the second half here. And I think it'd be a tight 1-0 Spurs, even though they'll have the better of the ball and the overall play. And then we have Wolves versus Man City. So Man City kind of going through a bit of a rebuild, aren't they still? So lost De Bruyne, but signing Cherki, Nuri from Wolves, left back there, the Rangers, Trafford, could all these make that difference again for them to be pushing for the title this upcoming season? It's difficult to say. Some young players coming in there that have been signed. Maybe they need another season just to get the play style adjusted for all the players under Pep and how he wants them all to perform. Wolves have signed John Larson, haven't they, who did phenomenal for them last season. Let's make no mistake about it. But then Pereira, phenomenal coach and a phenomenal manager. You've got to give him his flowers for what he's done for them last season after O'Neill, managing to take them from where it looked like it was heading for them, to then go on that run that they did, really keep them out of trouble. Was a solid managerial performance, wasn't it? They have lost Cunha and Nuri too. They haven't really got any big marquee signings coming in. As it stands, you might say they could struggle this season again, even with Pereira at the helm. I'm going to say it could be a comfortable win here for Man City, and I'm going to go 3-1. He's at Molineux. I'll give him the benefit of doubt of getting a goal, but I'm going to go 3-1. Which then leads us on to the City ground, where we have Forest versus Brentford. So big for Forest here, keeping Gibbs White after the transfer saga. I mean, we had the whole Fabrizio Romano, here we go, he's off to Spurs, and then it collapsed, and then he's put pen to paper for another few years at Forest. So where that come from, who knows, but it just goes to show even the best like Romano can even get it wrong. So big for them. They have lost Elanga though, who provided a lot of creativity. I believe he had top 3 expected assists in the league last year, or chances created, along there with Salah. So it just shows how big he will be the miss moving forward this season. They have a signing Doy. Is he on the level of Elanga? It's difficult to say. I mean, he's come from Bologna, hasn't he? And on paper, you would say it's going to be a slight drop off in terms of the player quality. You never know. He could surprise us all, but that's just my opinion. So I think they might lack a little bit there. They still need to make some signings for squad depth, considering maybe in Europa League after the controversy what's happened there. Brentford, of course, losing Frank. Massive losses, isn't it? Not only Frank, losing in Burmo, potentially Visser too, Norgard, Dan Kelleher's a good replacement for the other keeper. So but Keith Andrews at the helm, set piece coach. There's going to be a lot of talk about him, isn't there? Some Brentford fans I've seen online look pleased with what he's done so far. Again, pre-season wise, they've drawn to QPR and lost to a lower league opposition. But again, what can you take from pre-season? Difficult to say. Very difficult to say. So I would anticipate Forest to win here. I think it'd be a little bit tight. I don't think it'll be free-flowing football. So I am going to go a 1-0 win for Nottingham Forest here. And next we have the Club World Champions Chelsea at Stamford Bridge against Crystal Palace. So, yeah, fascinating this one, because obviously Stamford Bridge, riding that high, riding that wave, atmosphere, the fans, the fans and the players are all going to be up for this, aren't they? It's going to be non-stop chanting stuff like "We are the champions of the world" or whatever else that they might bring up. So the only stipulation here is the extended break. You know, we've seen it in the World Cup, some players having a break, but this is the full squad. So 2 pre-season matches, I believe. Is that enough to get the match sharpness back? It's difficult to say. I'm going to be on the side of no, that they'll have that match sharpness there. Well, not 100% anyway. I mean, who does after pre-season? But I think even more so Chelsea will struggle here a little bit. Palace with no real transfer movement, although could we see Eze and Gaia move before the end of the window? Gaia maybe to Liverpool. I would expect them both to be here though for the first game of the season. So I'm going to bear them in mind that they will be playing for Palace here. It's really difficult. It's really difficult because on one hand I'm like, Palace could get something here, but then I'm thinking Stamford Bridge, champions of the world, atmosphere is going to be there. I think it won't be comfortable, it won't be pretty, but I think Chelsea will just edge it 2-1. And that leads us into what could be argued as the biggest game of the game week. You've got Man United, Old Trafford against Arsenal. So Man United with many incomers and a full pre-season under Amorim. So you've got some experienced Premier League players there now, with Burmo, Cunha. So you could maybe see some creativity as well with Sesko coming in, so it'd be interesting to see how they perform. They've still got to adapt to the system, of course, and the 3-4-3 system isn't your everyday formation, is it? Although you would expect professional footballers to be able to understand how it operates, but that full pre-season could be beneficial to Man United. Arsenal, of course, with some solid signings, building that foundation to have with Gyökeres. Can he do what he did in the Portuguese league though? It's always difficult. He is familiar with the English leagues, having been there before under the likes of Coventry, Swansea as well, playing the Championship, so he's fully aware of how the English leagues work. You would expect him to be not firing all cylinders, probably not the right term, but you would expect him to score a fair few goals this season. Norgard has surprised a lot of people. I thought I'd maybe be like one of those fringe players that be a squad rotation, but he's been he's looked really good in pre-season, to be fair to him. So he might even start too. The usually tight games at Old Trafford recently, with a 1-0, 1-1 type of matchup between these two, but they've all been mid-season, end of season. So I'm going to say first game is going to have another goal or two. I'm going to say 2-1 Arsenal. I think they'll just get over the line. I don't think it'll be pretty again. I think it'll be a little bit of a scrappy game. I think they will just do it though. I think Man United still need the players to gel. I still think they've got quite a bit of work to do, so I'm just going to give it and shade it to Arsenal here. And then we come on to the final game, which in my opinion is the best game of the game week. Not being biased at all, being a Leeds fan. But yeah, so Leeds at home at Ellen Road against Everton. Leeds, I could talk about them all day, of course, but I'm not going to. I'll keep it fair between all the teams. So, all in all, Leeds have made some good signings at the back and midfield. Stack looks like a really, really solid player in midfield. Even today with the goal he scored against AC Milan. Then you've got some of the centre-backs by Joel, Goodmanson, left-back, and replacing the keeper, which was definitely much needed with Perry in net. Where Leeds lack now is up top. Definitely need a striker, need another winger, and maybe even a cam, and a backup fullback. Because as we've seen today with Bogle being out, who's our main right back, Schmidt was really struggling against AC Milan. So if he's still there and having to play against Everton, that could change the way the game goes, because I think they'll look to exploit that, especially David Moyes, who's a top manager, experienced manager. So I'm going to go on the sense that Bogle might be at the club, well, might be starting and not injured. So it's difficult. I mean, Everton signings, they've struggled at the beginning, but now they've got them coming through, haven't they? I mean, you've got Tiano Barry, looks like Dewsbury Hall's coming, maybe even Grealish. So if they get all those signings coming in, they could be looking quite good further on in the season. David Moyes, though, it's so difficult. It's so difficult to back against him sometimes because of his experience and his wisdom. And he's done well against Leeds when he was West Ham manager, so I do keep that in mind, but I'm going to be a little bit biased. I'm going to say 2-1, but it's one of those, you could easily see this going anyway. I'm just going to say it's first game, Ellen Road, it's going to be electric. I'm going to be there too, so the next video you could see a lot of disappointment in my face, which a lot of you I'm sure will be buzzing. You'll be giving the Leeds a falling apart again chance, so yeah, look out for that one. But those are the predictions, as you'll see them all on screen now. Please put yours in below in the comment section. If you like the video, please like it, subscribe too, as it does help for viewership because of the algorithm. That it does work with YouTube. Get the channel growing and we can get it as interactive as possible, so I look forward to seeing you in the next one.